I'm not working this weekend, Jerry.
Lucy!
Every day I go and I sit in a booth like a veal. I work every holiday. I go home to a cat.
So the film that I'd like for us to consider today, or at least a couple of locations that are featured in the film, is While You Were Sleeping, a 1995 romantic comedy directed by John Turteltaub. In the film, Sandra Bullock plays Lucy, a fair token collector for the Chicago Transit Authority, who is mistaken for the fiancé of a coma patient. Sounds relatively dire, ends up being light and funny. It's a movie that's set in Chicago, which is why we're here today with Chicago Movie Tours. You can see several locations and landmarks if you rewatch or watch the film for the first time. You'll see the Randolph-Wabash Station, you'll see Lake Point Tower, Michigan Avenue Bridge, and several Chicago bungalows. You will also see at least 2 suburban locations, both of which are in Grange, Illinois, which is where I am right now.
Our first location is the house you've seen featured over my right shoulder. It was built in 1898, consists of 3,800 square feet, and has 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a wraparound porch that would suggest a very welcoming family lives here. In other words, it's a perfect location for a lonely romantic comedy character who seeks the love of a family she's been missing for much of her adult life. The cast and crew of While You Were Sleeping not only make use of the house's exterior for its family home, but they also capitalize on the already welcoming interior. When the house was on the market in 2017, Realtor.com captured these pictures of the home's foyer. As you can see, the wallpaper above the staircase matches that in the frame with Bill Pullman, adding another layer of authenticity to this family and the house itself. Our second location on this walking tour Wednesday is Emmanuel Episcopal Church, a 100-year-old church in Grange.
It's featured in While You Were Sleeping just for a brief second, and it's the site of Lucy's parents' idyllic marriage.
At the beginning of the film, we learn one of Lucy's favorite childhood memories is walking past the church where her parents were married.
And this is one of only a few places in Grange, Illinois that is featured on the National Register of Historic Places. And even on the website of the church itself, it lists a little blurb about it's being featured in the film While You Were Sleeping. So they're relatively proud of this fact, it seems. The movie was a great success at the box office and also with critics. It grossed $182 million worldwide and only had a budget of $17 million, so it did significantly well with audiences. Sandra Bullock was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Musical, a motion picture comedy, and it was recognized in 2002 as one of American Film Institute's top greatest love stories in American cinema. I'm going to take a break on the steps of Emmanuel Episcopal Church out here in Grange for just a second and ask the question, what can we learn from this relatively brief walking tour of Grange and the 2 locations that are featured in the film? One thing that we might want to keep in mind as we consider this is that everything that is placed within a film is placed there for a specific reason. Everything. Films are expensive. Films take quite a long time to shoot, take quite a few people to shoot, and it's just a very lengthy and expensive process. So again, everything that is placed within a film is placed there for a reason, including the 2 locations that we visited today on our walking tour. So I have my trusty clipboard here of the 2 images of the locations that we looked at today on the walking tour, since obviously I cannot look at them on my phone since I'm using my phone to shoot these walking tours. So let's start with the church. I think there are 3 things that we can consider that are significant and tell us a little bit about the story and the character Lucy herself. So the image that we have on the film, what color is it? It is warm, it's yellow. What can you see on the trees? Not much, but there are a few leaves on the trees. So when you take those two things into consideration, it's relatively warm. The trees are mostly empty, but there's still a few leaves on them. What season are we dealing with? Yes, we are dealing with fall. What does fall usually symbolize? It symbolizes, in many pieces of literature and art, a time of transformation. And that is precisely what Lucy is about to get into with her life and the Callahan family. A second aspect of this scene that we can consider is the placement of the objects within it. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner childhood Lucy and her father, and then the church, of course, being the center of the frame. The two figures are ultimately dwarfed by the church. The church here symbolizing, as Lucy is telling us in the narration of the film, love and marriage, particularly our parents' marriage, but also something that we know she is going to be seeking throughout the rest of this film. Finally, the Episcopalian church itself represents safety. Have you heard of the red doors that adorn Episcopalian churches? Come with me.
Having a red exterior door on an Episcopalian church harkens back to the Middle Ages, and it represents at least four things: the blood of Christ, a reminder of Passover, more practically, the church's mortgage is paid off, but fourthly, a sign of sanctuary. If you were being pursued, it was thought that you'd be safe if you could reach the church door.
So now that we've considered what the Episcopalian church, albeit briefly, represents in While You Were Sleeping, let's look at the other location that we visited today on our walking tour, the Callahan family house. So we've already mentioned that the wraparound porch suggests a welcoming environment for virtually anyone who wants to visit the house, in this case, Lucy. What else does this house tell us? Well, it's a decent sized house. It's white. It's traditional in its architecture. So it suggests then two audiences: white, middle-class suburbia. And that is far away from the Lake Point Tower where Peter Gallagher's character lives, and the hustle and bustle of Chicago where he works and is relatively haughty and stuck up. But what this house does suggest, because it is featured more than once in the film, and Lucy is definitely drawn to it, is that Peter, her initial love interest, comes from good stock. And she ultimately finds that good stock in Peter's brother, Jack. Finally, one of the most obvious things about this house are the Christmas lights that are adorning it. It's Christmas time. There's snow on the ground. What does that reinforce? Family, tradition, togetherness. Again, all of these things that from the outset of the film, Lucy is telling us that she does not have, but she desperately wants. And ultimately, she will get. So that concludes our walking tour Wednesday. I hope you learned a little something about While You Were Sleeping, about the Episcopalian church, and about the Callahan family house that was used in the film itself. Join me next Wednesday when we discover a new location on our walking tour.